Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Honey Don't. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. Okay, let's look at our cast here. Who we got? We got Margaret Qualley, who's becoming, a notable name, in the past few years. Apparently, she's gonna be in the Death Stranding movie. Is she? Is she really? I need to look this up myself just to be sure. Maybe I mentioned it before. I don't remember, but I know it's getting. I know it's getting a movie. Film adaptations. Okay, maybe that's not legit. But as for the movie, oh my god, Death. Oh no. Oh great! This weekend is just giving me flashbacks to so many just terrible movies, dude. The Death Note Netflix movie that everybody hated for good reason. Ugh. Yeah, apparently she was in that. There's Nice Guys, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Sydney Sweeney was in that as well, but then again, they didn't play big roles in that movie. And right now, after that, there's Poor Things, Drive Away Dolls, which is rather important, to talk about. I will explain why later. And then The Substance, where she portrayed Sue. In that movie, I've mentioned, I've gushed about it. It was my favorite movie of last year. It was a movie that shocked me, that floored me, and I will never regret watching it. I don't know if I want to watch it again, but I certainly don't regret my experience with it. So, yeah, and then there's Happy Gilmore 2, which is a Netflix movie, so I can't really talk about that. But yeah, people are starting to really know who Margaret Qualley is. And that's good. So it makes her more recognizable. Then we got Audrey Plaza, who, let's see, what has she been in? I see Funny People. I see Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Apparently she voiced in Monsters University. It's a lot of nothing movies, stuff like Dirty Grandpa and Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. I'm pretty sure no one remembers those movies. In the case of Dirty Grandpa, it's probably best you don't remember that. Oh yeah, that Child's Play remake that happened for some reason. Operation Fortune, the movie that gave me a fucking false copyright strike. Yeah, I'll never forget that. I'll always hold that against the movie, even though I probably shouldn't, but I will. And then Megalopolis. You remember that from last year. Oh my god, her character's name, Wow Platinum. Yes, that is her. Honest to God, her character name was Wow Platinum. What a name, right? It's fantastic. Oh, Wow Platinum. God, how do you even come up with that? And then who else? We got Charlie Day, who, very much, most people know him from, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, obviously. But in the movie world, he's in Horrible Bosses. He voiced in Monsters University and Lego Movie as the spaceman Benny. He was in Pacific Rim Uprising, Horrible Bosses 2. I'm pretty sure no one really remembers that movie. Vacation, that's another movie that people should probably just forget about. Fist Fight, which I don't think did all that great. He voiced Luigi in the Super Mario Brothers movie. I know that. And that's kind of really it. in the movie world. People definitely know who he is, though. And then we got easily the biggest name of the cast, Mr. Chris Evans, the former Human Torch and Captain America. I mean, like, his history. I mean, he started with Not Another Teen Movie. And then he got his, big role as Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four movies, which only lasted, like, 2 movies. I forgot he voiced Casey Jones in the TMNT animated movie as well. A lot of just nothing movies, a lot of meh movies. Scott Pilgrim versus the World as Lucas Lee, a role he reprised in the anime Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. So, pretty much everyone in that movie, everyone in that live action cast reprised their roles in the anime, which I think is hella cool. And then he got to be a superhero again. He got to be Captain America, Steve Rogers. We've got America First Avenger, then the Avengers, then Winter Soldier, then Avengers Age of Ultron, then Captain America Civil War. They had that joke appearance in Spider-Man Homecoming, then Infinity War, then Endgame, and that was it for his Captain America. He was basically the second most important guy in that universe next to Iron Man. So people damn sure know who the hell Chris Evans is because of, those movies. But in terms of his non-MCU movies, Snowpiercer, which became like a big deal, which, I think got its own like TV show and everything. There's that. Knives Out. Free Guy was just a cameo. Lightyear, that was a voice role. There was Red One last year, which I'm pretty sure people only remember it once Christmas rolls around when it comes to like bad Christmas movies. He was just in Materialist, in June, which did all right for itself, quite all right. And some of these movies are just like streaming movies, so I can't really comment on them. And wait a minute, where the hell is Deadpool Wolverine? He reprised his role as Johnny in that. Why isn't that here? Well, that's not right. I mean, sure, the man like only lasted a few minutes on screen, but he was still there. But yeah, Chris Evans, people very much know who he is. I mean, how can you not at this point? So yeah, and who's making this movie? Ethan Coen, one half of the Coen brothers, who apparently they don't work together anymore when it comes to directing. I'm not sure why that is. I know there's a similar situation like the Sadie brothers, where both of them are literally making different movies for A24 coming out this year. One of them is doing The Smashing Machine. The other one's doing Marty Supreme. So I'll get to talk about those when they release. But when it comes to like Ethan Coen, as a part, being a duo with his brother, they've made some notable movies. Fargo, Big Lebowski, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Wait, did they make that movie? Did they truly make that movie? Okay, yes. Okay. That, I'm trying to think if they're good movies. No Country for Old Men, Burn After Reading, True Grit. Very notable movies. I know Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I know that was like a big Oscar movie, but that was a Netflix movie though. And then Drive Away Dolls, which came out like last year. And I'll talk about that a little later because it's kind of important. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to talk about it right now. So, Drive Away Dolls. Little movie that came out a year ago. Also starring Margaret Qualley. And yeah, there seems to be like quite a few different, quite a few comparisons from this and Honey Don't. From the director to the star to the fact that the movie is very much has what's the best way to describe this? I'm just gonna say it. Very I guess both movies have, I guess, lesbian energy. If that's the best way I could describe it. I mean, especially like Honey Don't, like it makes it like quite clear, very clear. Like that's very much. I mean, literally, it's called. It's. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. Is the second in the lesbian B movie trilogy. So this was part one of this trilogy. Honey Don't is part two. I'm not sure what part three is, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. But yeah, a lot of big comparisons between like this and Honey Don't, since they're technically part of an unofficial trilogy. But this is where we get to the cons, though. The con being is that Drive Away Dolls didn't do very good. In fact, it did kind of terrible financially. It went nowhere fast. Only up with like 2.4 million, made like 5 million domestically, 8 million worldwide. That is rough. That is not good. So yeah, like because of that, I'm not sure, I mean, like, how well was Honey Don't gonna, how, not, ugh, God, my train of thoughts going haywire. How, what would the expectations be for Honey Don't, considering how Drive Away Dolls didn't find, like, a big audience, or even, like, a somewhat big audience, like, in the first place. So, fact that Honey Don't is very similar to Drive Away Dolls, from a commercial standpoint, that's not good. You don't want to be related to a failure. You don't want to be related to an underperformer. That's not a good idea. So, yeah, I say it's connection to Drive Away Dolls. I'll label that as a con. Another con being that we're in that late August period, with the dog days of summer. Late August is a terrible, terrible, terrible time for movies. It was certainly the case last year. In 2023, it wasn't too bad. 2022, that was a horror show. 2021 was better. But usually late August is a terrible time for movies because, you know, summer's just about over, so Hollywood's just like they just give up. And they just release a bunch of like small, medium sized movies. Hopefully they make like a couple $1,000,000. Like that's the goal. So yeah, the last weeks of summer tend to be quite grim from a financial standpoint. And that's very much not going to change this year. So yeah, this the release date, not to mention there's already a bunch of movies playing already. That doesn't help anything. So both those things are a con. Um, I guess I can mention the reviews. Reviews aren't very good. It has a 46%, which is not ideal. um, I doesn't even have like an audience score. So I guess I can figure out what that is, what the vibe is. Uh, okay. The Okay. Ooh, I'm not getting good vibes. They're kind of all over the place, but mostly it's not good. One star says, not sure what this was about. Another one star says, a little bizarre, everyone getting killed. Okay. Uh, let's see. Oh man, okay. One star says garbage film, no plot, no drama, no chemistry, no point other than explicit sex scenes that again serve no purpose then other than to give the director an opportunity to shoot the scenes. Directors, studios, and studio heads should all be fired or go work at the porn industry. Waste of all the actors as well. Okay, so this is Peter who made this review. He was not a fan. Half star. When it ended, I was still waiting for it to start. Man, worst movie I've seen in a long time. Normally, I love any Coen Brothers. They put an S beside that. Movie. This is a 5 star. Says, uh, I'm so glad I saw this movie. Healed the part of me that died while watching Eddington. Entertaining from start to finish. One of the best movies of the summer. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I liked Eddington. I knew what I was getting myself into with that. And Eddington was an interesting experience. Definitely wasn't a bad one. Uh, let's see. Da, da, da. What else? Okay, half star says this movie belongs in the lesbian section of Pornhub. Even there, it would get negative reviews. The only redeeming quality is the style in which it was filmed. And all right, last one, another half star. Yeah, a lot of people just aren't really vibing with this movie, if you could tell already. Last one says, "What a horrible movie. Several groups of people got up and left, and I only wish I had been one of them. Was there any point to this movie ever? Not that I know of. This is a Coen movie. I should have looked that up ahead of time. As I looked that up, I saw this is the second in a set of 3 lesbian movies. The next one is something about beavers. Okay. And no, I'm not making this part up. Stay away." So, yeah. Yeah, audiences aren't really vibing with this thing either. So, word of mouth across the board is not good. So, I'm labeling that as a con. This preview numbers 500K. I mean, how did Drive-Away Dolls do? Like, I'm curious. Uh, Drive. Drive-Away Dolls. Okay. It's the best comparison I got. Previews. Did it even have previews? It did. 450K and opened with 2.4 million. This only opened slightly higher than that, so I'm not expecting a whole lot out of it. So yeah, low preview numbers. I mean, I was expecting to be that high anyway, but still, the fact that they're so close to Drive-Away Dolls is not a good thing. So that's a con. And I think that's really it with cons. I guess of the fact that this movie's kind of this and Driveway Dolls have like doomed themselves into being like niche as fuck, where only a very small select group of people will watch, and that's it. Like it doesn't appeal to like anyone outside of that small bubble. In order to be a hit, you kind of have to appeal outside of that bubble, unless like that audience is like big enough already. But in this case, the audience is very small. So yeah, there's that problem too. Just the hardcore niche of it. So that's a con. And I think that's it. So opening weekend. This is in like how many theaters? only 1,300, even less than Drive-Away Dolls. The fact that it had a bigger preview number, that's actually low-key impressive. But I don't expect it to do a whole lot better. I expect an opening weekend between 2 to 3 million and a final total of probably 5 to 6, probably 4 to 6 million, to be honest. And that's it. Okay, 2 more movies. We got Niza. I know I'm not saying Niza 2. I know I'm not saying that right. The English dub of that from May 24. And then we got Relay. And then we're done for the weekend. I mentioned in my Eden video, I'm not doing K-pop Demon Hunters. I'll talk about that in my recap video. I'm not making a prediction video for it. Okay? Cool. So, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this, got a playlist on the homepage. Previous prediction videos I made this year or the past few years. You want to watch any of them, go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. My August recap will come out the second weekend of September, and a little bit after that, I'll make my 2-part summer 2025 recap, or winners and losers. So stay tuned for those videos, but if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. There's also the Cancel series, or went over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. Never talked about Honey Don't, obviously. So if you want to watch all 250 episodes of Canceled, you want to binge that thing from beginning to end, I highly suggest you do that, so go do it. And yeah, that's it. That's all. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.